experience. Only Bill Clinton, the draft dodger, and I say that with all due respect, and Barack Hussein Obama never wore the uniform or had any relationship to America's military past or present. And that's how you end up, Barack Obama, calling our troops corpsmen. Mr. Obama dropped the term enemy combatant for Gitmo prisoners. And the administration asserts that we must follow international law, not American law, related to battlefield detainees. Hillary Clinton, the Secretary of State, expressed regret that the United States is not a signatory to the International Criminal Court, a politicized body whose radical officials would lead to trials for American soldiers for war crimes in The Hague. Mr. Obama does not support the American Service Members Protection Act, which is meant to protect our warriors and heroes against third world political attack. Under Barack Obama, the United States actually co-sponsored an anti-free speech resolution at the UN. The Organization of Islamic Conference has a Sharia law-based blasphemy law for anyone who dares criticize radical Islam. It is considered hate speech and is subject to prosecution. Mr. Obama may even turn the internet over to international cops, regulating away your free speech right to criticize Islamists. Sound far-fetched? Ask Geert Wilders on trial in the Netherlands. And what for? Merely taking off of Arab media and from their government spokesman statements and their mosques and their madrasas, their radio and their television, their own statements and radical speeches and sloganeering. He merely reproduced and packaged it, put it out there, and now he's under trial in the Netherlands. And by the way, Britain rejected him. They wouldn't let him into England. They wouldn't let him into England. Free speech, right? There's now Sharia law in London, as you know, called Londonistan. A lady is beaten by her husband and goes to get a divorce. If he's Muslim, he can get a Sharia law court. She has no right to testify in her divorce trial. The Archbishop of Canterbury even said there should be Sharia law in London, England. Mr. Obama signed the START agreements, which mostly reduced our stockpile of weapons because we had more and an advantage over the Russians. But he also left ambiguous whether or not it limited our missile defense. The same Russian position that Ronald Reagan rejected, remember at the Reykjavik summit, when he said, "I spent my whole life planning for this moment," I turned to Gorbachev and said, "Niet." Mr. Obama is not confident and assertive about missile defense. Mr. Obama said we would never retaliate against a weapon of mass destruction, chemical, biological, or nuclear attack, or a cyber attack that could equally destroy our economy and lives with use of an American nuclear weapon. I just told you he's the first president in history who took off the table the nuclear deterrent. In an age of missiles, Mr. Obama doesn't understand missile defense. He has cut spending on it. At the G20 summit, Mr. Obama promoted his international agenda with the establishment of the Financial Stability Board so that American financial institutions, instruments, and markets would be subjected to international regulation and oversight, including on salaries and, quote, the corporate social responsibility of all firms. Remember, Barack Obama had, as a senator, sponsored the Global Poverty Act, seeking global taxes on American citizens and spending by the UN at its discretion, not by the representatives of the American people, sort of what the founders had in mind, right? Self-rule, sovereignty, self-government of the people, by the people, for the people. Not too complicated. On climate change, too, Obama long has advocated world government, transfer of wealth from the West to the Third World, and massive international bureaucracies to set climate policy. Only the release, remember, of the memos, right, from the UK, slowed down the climate change crowd. Remember the hockey stick? There was a polar bear expert invited to a big Copenhagen climate change conference, the polar bear guy. But he said there's more polar bears than before. They said, don't come to our conference. And he didn't. It goes on and on. Obama supports the Arms Trade Treaty, which would severely restrict Second Amendment rights within the United States of America. Mr. Obama turned the state of Arizona into the United Nations, advocating against his own citizens to curry favor with dictators and tyrants, apologizing for America. By the way, our negotiator with China did the same thing. Brought up the Arizona state law, which merely mimics federal law, right, on immigration, and then goes out of its way to say, we also carve out a whole sensitivity to no racial profiling. Not good enough for the Obama crowd. They like to beat up the citizens of America. Number 5, AWOL, on human rights and trade. Where are the trade deals? I thought you wanted to get along with the world, Mr. Obama. Where are the trade deals with South Korea and Panama and Colombia? They're still waiting. Darfur, anyone? Hasn't lifted a finger to stop the Janjaweed and the genocide in Darfur. China, Mrs. Clinton, from day one with China, took human rights off the table in our conversations with China. Remember this one? Iran. Anybody remember the June 12th, 2009 stolen elections? And the Green Movement? And the shooting to death in the streets of Netta? And the texting, and the tweeting, and the Facebooking, and the internet, and the attention of the world to what was going on in Iran? And Mr. Obama said nothing. The American leader. There's not a person in this room, or a statesman or stateswoman in America, who could look in the mirror, knowing that there were freedom fighters and human rights activists and dissidents in any corner of this globe, asking for moral, much less material leadership from the American president. I could never look in the mirror and not stand by people like that. To this day on the walls of Tehran, Iran, the graffiti says, Obama, Obama, are you with us or our dictators? Unbelievable. Number 6, appointments. Harold Coe, the State Department lawyer who cites not U.S. interests but transnational law for his decisions. Susan Rice, our U.S. ambassador, not an advocate for U.S. interests. Samantha Powers, Obama's close friend and policy advisor, who believes we should invade Israel. Zbigniew Brzezinski is back. Yes, Jimmy Carter's successful national security advisor has returned to the White House, asserting, quote, that we should shoot down Israeli planes should they fly over American theater on their way to preempt Iranian nuclear weapons and delivery systems, their missiles. Dahlia Mogahed, Mr. Obama's Muslim affairs advisor, does not promote our view of personal liberty or respect for women in Araby and the Muslim world. And I hope it's clear to everybody, you always have to offer this caveat. I'm the biggest advocate of moderate Muslims, of victims of Arab tyranny, Muslim dictatorship. Mrs. Mogahed celebrates the burqa, says her job is to inform the president of the Arab perspective of the world, not to promote our values abroad. Obama picked early in his administration a man so bad that even the Democrats didn't let him through. Chaz Freeman was going to be his national intelligence czar, the gentleman who gives the president the national intelligence briefing every morning. This is the man who's siding with the Chinese government against the students in Tiananmen Square.